Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. With about 18 hours left until the launch of the Heist League at the time that I'm recording this video, so less than 18 by the time you see it, I just wanted to catch up on all of the little pieces of news that have come out over the last couple of days. So this is like the daily updates that I was providing before, but I want to catch up on the things that have come out during the last few days that have been sort of buried by the patch notes and the balance manifesto, and all of the other major pieces of news. So, the first thing is that all of the gem stats are out. Heist gem information post will be linked below, and it lists all of the new skill gems, what they look like at 2020, and for all the gems that were updated, there's information on what the actual updates were. So you can see what the new gem looks like at gem level 20 and quality 20, and also what the specifics of that change are. And you can have a look through here. There's lots and lots of information. I'm certainly not going to go through every single one of those gems, but if there's a gem you're thinking of playing around with, for instance, I am playing around with Glacial Cascade, then knowing the differences are important. You can also check the actual concrete details of the differences as well, so not just see the new information, but also the old info. So here you can see, for instance, on Glacial Cascade as an example, mana cost down, cast time down, effectiveness of added damage down, baseline damage is down, the conversion has been increased, and then there's the mechanical changes as well. So there's the changes related to knockback, and there's the final burst dealing 200% more damage, so triple damage, and the final burst having doubled area of effect. So that post will be linked below. Next up is the alternate quality gems, and honestly, this is just absolute chaos. There are so many to look through here. What I suggest you do is every support gem that is on the build you're intending to play in the new league, you want to check out these and have them in mind as possible options, as well as every skill gem. Additionally, any support gem that you almost put in your build. So let's say, for instance, that you're playing a build where the best 6th support gem is hypothermia support, but you also considered maybe you'd want to run added cold damage support, but it turned out that hypothermia was better. Well, then in that case, you also want to check out what added cold damage support's alternate qualities are like as well. This is a big job. I suggest you have a quick look at this for your current build, but also that you can put that off, but I would suggest doing it before you pick up a 6 link that is not a tabular, because it might influence the specific choices of support gems that you might want to use on a build, and so it's worthwhile doing. Next up, we have the absolutely terrifying artwork for the Maw of Mischief unique helmet. This is not coming in 3.12, this is going to be in 3.12.1 most likely. And it doesn't really look mischievous, it looks terrifying. There's certainly something fishy going on here. This looks really dangerous. Next up, we have the gem levels for the new gems and the rework gems. So just some straight up information here. The interesting things, Hex Blast is not available early, and neither is Impending Doom. So if you're thinking of playing a curse-based occultist, you'll need to have some other solution for the very, very low levels. But really, leveling through the low levels, any skill can do it, it's just that some skills can do it faster. And Frostbomb is always really, really good there. Of note, Flame Wall comes online very, 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 very early, and Void Sphere is one of the latest gems that comes online. Probably something that you're not going to get your hands on until late in Act 4. There's this unique item, the Iron Mask, which is cool. This is just one of those really interesting and unique weapons. So the way that it works, summon skeleton warriors wield a copy of this weapon in your main hand, and they do triple damage with this weapon if you've hit with this weapon recently. So this is for a necromancer that gets up close and personal. You have lots of skeletons, but you're also hitting things. I honestly don't know exactly how I would go around building this. I do think that you want probably Cyclone with a cast while channeling offering setup. That will ensure that you're getting your occasional hits, and then you probably want to cast your summoned skeletons via some other means. That's probably just manually casting them. So to have a 6-link summon skeletons, and then use the Iron Mass as a cast while channeling support for Cyclone. That's my first thoughts on this, but I'm sure that other people who are just a bit more experienced with minion builds than I am will come up with better. Next up, there's the item filter and passive tree information. Now, this shows the 3.12 passive tree, which is important, but it also shows some of the new types of items that you can find. It doesn't give information about what they are, just that they exist. So firstly, specific alternate quality gems are going to have one of 3 different names. So there's the standard quality will be superior, superior fireball. Then there's divergent fireball, anomalous fireball, and phantasmal fireball. We don't know which of these is going to be, like what the rarity of these is going to be relative to each other. We don't know exactly how they're going to work, but this is worthwhile keeping your eye on. It may mean that some of the most wacky and crazy of the alternate quality gems are like the alternate quality earthquake, and let's just quickly bring that up. Increases in reductions to spell damage also apply to attack damage from this skill, which is ridiculous in conjunction with Indigon and Arcane Cloak, of all things. Some of these might be very, very, very rare, and some of them might be unable to drop until a certain zone level. So it might be, for instance, that the divergent ones can drop from low level, the anomalous ones can drop from mid level, and the phantasmal ones are map only. Or it might be that divergent can drop from low level, anomalous from, say, from early maps, and phantasmal only from very high tier maps. We'll have to find that out. Additionally, there's these regrading lenses, which we know nothing about, but they're a stackable currency. Tempering Orb and Tailoring Orb, we don't know what they are. Rogues Markers are a part of the new League content. And then there's just a number of other things. There's the names of all the divination cards, but I don't think we know what all of them do yet. So we're just going to have to find out. A couple of them we're going to have to find out once we get into the new League. We've got the names of all the contracts, the names of all of the blueprints, and then there's some quest items that you might try and search for inside those zones. Anyway, and then there's all the heist content. Here's all of the names of all of the experimenter base types. The main thing that's interesting here is that there are indeed 3 tiers of each of them. So think of these as being like the Maraketh weapons. So those are the weapons that have unusual implicits. A good example of this being the Eclipse Staff. The Eclipse Staff, when the Maraketh weapons were added, was locked to Merciless difficulty and up. And there were lower tiers of the same type of staff, so the ones that have the critical strike chance instead of the block implicit, that were added earlier in the game. It looks like, at least it's my speculation, that one of these will be available early in the game, one will be at mid-level, and one will be high-level. So it might be minimum level 1, minimum level 50, minimum level 75, or something like that, in order to find them. But that's only speculation. We'll have to find out exactly how they work. Of particular note, I was quite interested in the potential for the Capricious Spirit Blade. And a lot of people thought that I was wrong to be excited about it because the base damage was low. I'm expecting that the Anarchic Spirit Blade will have a higher base damage. So if you're keen to play around with a build that might have used a Capricious Spirit Blade, be aware that Anarchic Spirit Blade is an option and looks like it may be really good. Anyway, there's also shields. There are something that we didn't realize was coming. There are shields that are experimented bases, and there's also a couple of new belts, amulets, and rings as well. Nothing at all is known about these. Finally, there's all the map tiers. These have been added in that same thread. This is the tier of which the lowest version of the map exists. So, for instance, for the Cemetery map, Cemetery is a tier 3 at its lowest, so that will be the 0 Watchstone version of Cemetery. There'll also be a 1, 2, 3, and 4 Watchstone version. We don't know what tiers they'll be. Of particular note, if you're the sort of person that likes to rush to channel early in a league, something I often advocate doing, and farming humility cards, either to acquire a tabula rasa yourself or even to resell to other players, Channel is a tier 4 map and Waterways is a high tier map only. So that's going to be how you'll have to work around there. You'll need to pick up a channel early, then probably run an Apex of Sacrifice or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, because the Apex of Sacrifice drops a lot of tier 4 maps in general, and that will help you flood your stash with channel maps, which you can then run to farm tabula rasa or to farm lots and lots and lots of the lots of the humility divination cards. I would suggest though that when you go into your first Atzri of the league, if you're going to follow this approach, that the only tier 4 map you have completed is Channel. So that's just my first. That's just the last thing that came to mind out of the item data. Then additionally, we have the final update, which is that the Heist League torrent is online. But importantly, there's something that needs to be said here, that the league is going live, not quite finished. There are some bosses still being worked on. And these are essential for challenge completion, which means that it's not going to be possible. If you're going for 40 challenges, it's not going to be possible to knock them out in the first week. Not until this patch goes live. That will undoubtedly get done probably in the 3.11.1 patch, 3.12.1 patch, which will hopefully be out during the first week of the league. Anyway, that's all I got for this. This is the final update in a series of discussion of just the general news. I have listed online my build outline for my planned league starter, which is a Glacial Cascade Miner. I've also put together a guide to a few ideas on how to take advantage of the unique economic opportunity that the league start provides in order to get yourself a whole lot of currency. And I will put links to those in the last 20 seconds of this video. If you've got any comments or questions though, definitely fire away. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a good one.